Continues to spend hundreds of billions of dollars to bail out the nation's banking system. A growing movement is calling on the government to do more to help students struggling to pay for college. According to the College Board, the average cost of 4 years at a private college is now a staggering $136,000. 4 years at a public university on average will set you back $57,000. In order to pay for the rapidly increasing tuitions, students were forced to borrow a total of $85 billion during the last school year, up from $41 billion 10 years ago. The average student now leaves college with $20,000 in debt. This is an excerpt from the forthcoming documentary Default, the student loan documentary, a film by Serge Bacalian and Aurora Mengello.
The Citibank Student Loan Corporation would send me these notices, and they'd say, this is just to notify you of your interest rates. And then they started sending me one saying, this is just to notify you of a change in your interest rates. And it was like watching the odometer on a car.
I remember thinking, what happened to the 9%? Where did this 17% come from? And seeing the number, something like $900-something a month for my private student loan, and immediately realizing that was more than I make in a month.
The most recent estimate is that the amount of outstanding student loan debt in the country is approaching $40 billion with a B. And that is only the federally guaranteed defaulted student loan debt that is out there. We're not counting the private loans in that, which is probably another $5 to $10 billion and growing quickly.
The original loan amount was $45,974, and this last statement I received on December 16th, 2007 indicates that the outstanding balance is $73,789. So it has accrued just shy of $30,000 in interest.
If you look at it in the roundhouse figure, say, okay, it was $30,000 to go to UNR for 3 years. They now say that I owe about $90,000, so it's tripled. They can seize Social Security, they can seize tax refunds, they can garnish your wages. Like if I get hit crossing the street by a bus and I end up in a wheelchair, they can seize my disability.
The documentary Default, the student loan documentary. More information about the film is available at the website defaultthemovie.com. We're joined now by two guests who've been closely following this issue. The Reverend Jesse Jackson is with us in our Firehouse studio. The founder of the Rainbow Push Coalition, longtime civil rights activist, has launched a campaign called Reduce the Rate, urging the Obama administration to slash the interest rates on student loans. And Alan Collins joins us from Seattle. He's founder of StudentLoanJustice.org and author of the new book, The Student Loan Scam, the most oppressive debt in U.S. history and how we can fight back. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! Tell us about this campaign. It's good to have you back, Reverend Jackson.
Well, really, we have made a fundamental shift from grants to loans. And these are very oppressive loans. The more you go to school, the worse off you are. Talking with students who are in $150,000 in debt, they marry a classmate, $300,000 in debt, and so you have the combined burden of the loan, and then you have compounded interest. If you don't start paying back after 6 months, then you're facing default and garnishment. If 20% of your school cannot pay back, it can face the loss of accreditation. It only gets worse. And so we feel that students should get the same deal banks are getting. If they can get on the top 0 to 1% loans, students should get 0 to 1% loans, and it is a transparent flow of the monies. When you, in that sense, restructure the student loan process, more grants and less loans, it helps the student, it helps their parents, it helps the school, it helps the community. I mean, the help just never stops coming. And so we have launched a website, reducetherate.org. Students should begin rebelling and marching across the country. Students have accepted this as like normal. It's normal, but it's not right. And it is a point of rebellion. So we're urging students across America who want to reduce the rate and have more grants and less loans, let's begin to have marches. Use last year's energy in the presidential campaign to demand a new deal. President Obama wants students, in fact, to get a better deal. Were it not for his hit book, we'd have a president today with a student loan. His hit book allowed, he and Michelle, both presidential Harvard Law School graduates, were still owing on their loan until 2 years ago. So think about those who are in less fortuitous circumstance. So I'm anxious to urge students around America, don't just sit there and take that hit. Let's fight back.
And what about the role of the government in this? Sallie Mae, the organization that guarantees a lot of these loans, they apparently, as I understand it, their fee income for Sallie Mae went up about 228%, while their loan portfolio only increased by 78% in the early parts of the decade.
Well, they're getting free and charging a fee. On the one hand, the TARP money is 0 to 1%. The students should get the same deal banks get. On the other hand, the federal government can borrow money at 3% and sell student loans at 6%. So they're really scalping tickets. They're scalping loans. The money that they make from that deal finances the Pell Grants. You would think the Pell Grant is some generous investment. The fact is, the Pell Grant money comes from money made from the gap between what the federal government borrows for and what it does with students.
We're going to go to break, and when we come back, we'll also be joined by Alan Collins, who is now devoting his life to this issue, starting out simply with a student loan. Now he's written the book, The Student Loan Scam, What is Sallie Mae? How did it come to be? Who is profiting? And, of course, the Reverend Jesse Jackson will stay with us. Stay with us as well.
Citizens, my debts I sure will pay. Yes, a law-abiding citizen, my debts I sure will pay. I hope war don't start on Uncle Sam have to send me away. I have never been in jail and never had to pay no fine. Never been in jail, never had to pay no fine.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. We're broadcasting on close to 800 stations on Pacific and NPR and Low Power FM and college and community stations, on public access TV stations and PBS TV stations and both TV satellite networks, on Dish Network Channel 9415 Free Speech TV, 9410 Link TV, and on DirecTV Channel 375. And we're video and audio podcasting at democracynow.org. Our headlines also available in Spanish for any radio station to take, well, you can read them on our website. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Just before we go back to our guests, some of the voices of the students in this discussion. The American News Project recently interviewed a group of young people working at Mother Bear's Pizzeria in Bloomington, Indiana, home of Indiana University. This is what some of them had to say about the student debt.
I'm no longer in school. I ran into some issues, money issues, so I had to leave. And my original idea was to start working here and totally make enough money to go back to school, but it's harder than you think because you still have to pay for being alive. I think that a lot of parents who were planning for their kids' education didn't save enough. The cost of tuition and books and all this stuff shot up. Like, you're figuring if you had a kid 20 years ago and you were like, oh, well, I'll have to save, this much plus a little extra for inflation, and then you look at the prices of school, like, now versus 20, 25 years ago, it's insane. It's insane.
You hear that, especially in election, you hear all this shit about the American dream. Well, what's the American dream when, now I'm paying, but it's like, I just was talking to my buddy about it. I think I'm paying $800 a month. Yeah, $800 a month in loans and debt just for school alone. And I manage a pizza place. My little sister's visiting. Hi, sister. I haven't seen her. Hi. Good to see you. I haven't seen her in a couple months. Actually, funny, I haven't seen her in a couple months because she stopped going to college, moved back in with our parents because of the expenses of living down here. So you make the decision. You can stick it out like me and be $60,000 in debt, give or take, or you can just get a full-time job and then get your education, further down the line. I guess that's the economics of going to college is You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.